officially been on the carnivore diet for 60 days. So, what am I eating now? Is it still just meat? Today, we're talking all about it. Let's carve into it. Hi, I'm Joe. Welcome to Blood and Butter. Figuring out what to actually eat on the carnivore diet can be tricky. A lot of it comes down to individual response, what your body handles well, what keeps you full, and what actually works for you. But beyond that, there are macros, vitamins, minerals to consider, and this stuff matters. In my 30-day video, I said I mostly ate meat, and that's still true. So if that's all you needed, feel free to jump off now. But lately, I've been trying to dial things in to figure out a more complete nutritional picture for myself. And I figured out a way of eating that leaves me satisfied and nourished. But I'm on a mission to optimize, and honestly, I feel freaking invincible. I spent a month experimenting, and I found something that works awesome for me. So let's break it down. I'll start with the core of what I eat basically every day, and some things I throw into the rotation when I feel like it. Okay, so let's go through this kind of meal by meal, from the start of the day to the end of the day. But first up, yeah, I drink a lot of water now. Like, I don't know, 3 or 4 of these big things a day. I feel like water is super important, especially for me because I have gout. Uric acid excretion is like super important. So I drink like a lot of water through the day. And then before we get into eating, I actually am usually fasting from around 8 at night until about noon. Sometimes a little bit on either side. I don't like to eat close to bed. And then by the time we get up and do kind of our morning stuff, go to the gym, and I start getting into work and stuff, it's usually like around noon before I'm ready to eat. If you've been here for a while, you know that I'm not a morning person, and so I have not even attempted to cut coffee out. I usually drink 1 to sometimes 3 cups of coffee a day, depending on how I slept. Okay, so noon finally rolls around, and it's time for my first meal. We tend to kind of still call it breakfast here, but lunch, first meal, breakfast, whatever, who cares? So usually my breakfast looks like this. I try to eat about a half a pound of ground beef. I try to eat 3 to 4 eggs, usually 5 to 6 grams of salmon roe or salmon eggs or salmon caviar, whatever you like to call it. I'm a sushi guy. I call it salmon roe. And then something that I've tried to incorporate more recently is kefir for the like huge probiotic profile that it has. I don't have any issues with dairy other than eating way too much of it, which I've talked about before, but kefir is not something that I worry about overeating. It has like 50 strands of bacteria in it that are incredible for your gut. So I started incorporating that with my lunch. And something that I actually just started today when I'm recording this that I think I'm gonna be doing for a while is adding eggshell powder to my kefir. I did a ton of research, and we'll get into the science later in this video, but I find that calcium is something that I'm lacking a little bit on, and I don't want to crank the dairy through the roof. So blending in some egg white powder into my kefir in the morning is an easy way to load up on calcium, and that's something I'm going to be doing moving forward. So that's basically what my first meal of the day looks like. Okay, so there's lunch. My second meal, and I really only eat 2 meals a day, is usually around 8. So we have this time between noon and 8 when I can eat if I feel like it. So early in the afternoon, I try not to have coffee after 2 or 3 o'clock, but I will have, once my fast is broken, I will have coffee with a little bit of raw cream in it if we have some. Raw dairy is hard to get sometimes, especially the cream, but a little bit of raw cream in my coffee is packed with nutrients, and it's a nice little fat boost, and it's absolutely delicious. So I'll have a little bit of coffee, usually between like noon and 2 with heavy raw cream in it. And then around 4 o'clock, I usually do have a snack. I know I said that in my 30-day video, I was trying to basically cut out snacking, but I like to have a snack. I don't know why, maybe it's a psychological thing, but it definitely keeps me from having a whole nother meal in between, which I don't really feel like I need, and I don't want to have a big meal too early because it'll make me want to have a meal closer to bed, and I don't want that either. So I usually have a little bit of a snack around like 3:30 or 4 o'clock, it's usually about 4 ounces of cheese, or sometimes we'll find like sugar-free meat sticks. Like Epic has a venison one with a little bit of beef in it, and it's pretty good. Buc-ee's, the gas station chain, which we absolutely love, they have some like beef sticks with beef and just a little bit of jalapeno that have no sugar in them, and then they have some that are cured that have very, very trace amounts of sugar, about the same amount as bacon. So that's usually something that I'll have right around 4 o'clock to hold me over to my second meal. All right, so now it's dinner time. I like to eat dinner with my wife every day. That's a big part of the sort of culture in our house. We like to sit down and watch TV and eat dinner together. What are we having? Well, usually steak. There's a lot of variations of what that actually looks like. We'll have ribeye, Denver steaks, chuck steaks, Sierra steaks, rib caps. I mean, we butcher all of it ourselves. There's another video just here about how we do that and why we do it and how we save a ton of money doing it. So check that out if you're interested. But steak is usually the primary focus of dinner here. I try to eat around a pound of steak. If I am hungry, I eat until I'm satiated, but usually it comes out to about a pound every day. One thing that I've been trying hard to incorporate since my gout symptoms have gotten so much better, which I'll be covering all the results and how the second month went outside of food and all that kind of stuff in the next video. So definitely subscribe if you want to see that. But spoiler alert, my gout symptoms have gotten just so much better since starting the carnivore diet, and that's continued through the second month. So something that I've slowly started incorporating back in is organ meats. We started with liver. I said in the butchering video that we grind liver and heart into our ground beef, which is definitely true, but I also try to eat a little bit more than that. So I'll have like 4 to 5 ounces of liver with dinner most days. It's kind of a pain in the ass because it comes in a frozen thing this big, and I usually want to eat about this much of it. So we don't wind up getting it in every day, but it's something that I'm trying to work hard to get in more and more frequently. I also, when I jumped into the research on all these nutrients and stuff, I realized there were some kind of gaps that that kidney could fill, that liver is not quite filling. Things that we'll talk about a little bit later in the video when we get to the vitamins and nutrient section of all of this. But liver for now, and very soon to add kidney. It's like 4 to 5 ounces with my steak at dinner time. The other thing that we'll get into with the nutrition that I felt like I could fill a little bit of a gap is with shellfish. There are some nutrients that are like impeccable with beef, most of them. Between the liver and the muscle, I'm getting like almost all of the nutrition that I need. But there are a couple of gaps, like I said, and shrimp in particular is so easy to throw on the grill with my steak. And so like twice a week, I'm trying to have like a half a pound of shrimp with my steak dinner just to get the extra nutrition in. And then the last thing that I've also started incorporating in the last like 2 weeks or so, again, to boost the calcium and to boost the incredible bacteria that comes with it. I want an immune system that completely kicks ass. I've also started incorporating about a half cup of raw milk with my dinner. It's not enough to sit and like drink with all of dinner, so I kind of treat it like dessert. It's a shot, a little bit more than a shot of raw milk right at the end of my day, just to wash all the nutrition down with some good bacteria and set my digestive system up for success overnight. Okay, this is a tough look, but I just said in here that I am adding all this dairy to like boost my calcium probiotics. Thing is, it was going really great. Every time that I would have dairy in a day, I would get almost like a high from the crazy nutritional boost I was getting from it, and I felt amazing. But after like 2 weeks now, progressively I am getting worse and worse. I am incredibly bloated in my digestive system. There's big disruptions to my like lower digestive system and my bathroom regularity, and it seems to be getting worse day over day. So this is all obviously a big experiment trying to figure out what works best for me. I thought that I had really nailed this. but the dairy components of this video are starting to betray me. So unfortunately, since I recorded this and now that I'm editing, I just wanted to be super transparent that I will be taking the dairy back out of my diet. I do think this profile works incredibly well for someone who is able to tolerate the dairy, and I have never had issues with dairy, so I thought that this was me, but in the name of transparency, I am apparently no longer that person. So as I'm editing, I just wanted to be completely honest and say that unfortunately, I am gonna have to remove the dairy components of this. Really sucks, but it's just the way that it's gonna have to be for me because I'm starting to feel kind of terrible. So, you know, this is where the experimentation comes in. If something starts to make you feel worse, take it out, and I'm gonna start doing some more research and figure out how to fill the nutritional gaps that I was getting from the dairy. But for now, unfortunately, the dairy is gonna have to stay on the cutting room floor. All right, so like I said, that is the core of what I try to eat every day. And I do that on purpose, and it's for the nutrition. But I'm human, we're all human. Variety is something that keeps things interesting. And so I tend to swap things in and out some days, maybe 3 or 4 days a week. I'm not able to just sit down and have exactly, I need this many grams of this. No, that's not realistic. So here are some things that I swap in when I'm just feeling it. The first thing, every carnivore loves it, it's bacon. We make our own bacon at home. I've shown that off before, and I'm happy to make a video in the future. Let me know below if you guys want to see that on how we actually do it. But I love bacon. I love our bacon. It's very fun making it, knowing that it came from what we made. And hell, even if we don't make it, bacon is awesome. I eat plenty of it. I will often throw in extra eggs with dinner. Like if I feel like I'm extra hungry and the steak we've cooked is a pound, I don't want to thaw out more steak or ask my wife to cook more steak, I'll have just 2 or 3 extra eggs with dinner. The yolk running down a fat piece of steak is heaven. It's so amazing. And it's a great way to get loads of extra nutrition in. And if you're hungry, eggs are very filling. So I find that adding eggs is a great way to kind of supplement the size of my dinner, and they make their way back in 3 or 4 days a week. Of course, getting enough fat is super important, and there's not a lot of ways better to up your fat intake than just eating cold butter. Like I will slice off and just have a piece or 2 of butter, I don't know, 1 or 2 days a week, like when I feel like I really need to be getting some extra fat in. If I notice that the steak I'm having for dinner happens to be on the leaner side, I'll grab a slice of butter and just get it down just to kind of boost how much fat I'm getting that day. One of the variations on steak, like I said, there's a lot, but one of them is chuck roast. When we do butcher our own meat, we get like 3 or 4 sizable chuck roasts that come out with it, and we have to eat them at some point. It's very, very delicious. We do them in the crock pot with bone broth, and they come out absolutely delicious. Would I rather have a steak? Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I didn't. Instead of cooking a chuck roast at over 200 degrees, I'd rather have a medium rare ribeye. But, you know, we have this meat. It's very inexpensive because it comes as a part of what we butcher. So we swap that in probably like once a week. Honestly, we should do it more. We should do it more. Babe, we should do more chuck roast. It's cheaper than steak. We should be doing it more. And I swap that out like probably once or twice a week. Okay, now we're gonna kind of get into some fun stuff. Babe, we should do it more. That I've kind of just swapped in a couple of times, experimenting and that kind of stuff. So I'm sure if you've been on the carnivore diet for any amount of time, you have taken a crack at making carnivore bread. We've taken many stabs at it, and the early stabs went really terrible. That's how we wound up with these snacks. I have a video here all about how we make them, and they're awesome, especially for when we're traveling or we have a super busy day. Those wind up making their way in for sure. We just did a trip to Nashville, which I also made a video about. Feel free to check that one out too. But yeah, the snacks were clutch in Nashville, and we like to keep some around. So it sucks as bread, but it's a great snack. Now, what didn't suck as much as bread is a recipe from a dude named Chris Cook in Nashville. Yes, I said in my top 10 video that I wanted to start checking him out, and we did. He's got a video all about how to make bread. Now, I haven't used it to make sandwiches like I expected to, and I'm gonna make a review of that video coming up soon, but one thing that we did wind up using it for recently, and we've done for, I don't know, 3 or 4 meals in the last couple of weeks, is carnivore burger buns. So we use his bread recipe. We have a mold that can make cool burger buns, and we use those, and then we make real cheeseburgers. So it imitates eating an actual cheeseburger. It's a really nice change of pace and makes us feel a little bit more connected to real life when we can sit down with a plate with a couple of actual burgers on it. So I swapped those in a couple of times. It's not gonna be around all the time, but it's a fun thing to swap in every once in a while. Is that it? What else do we eat? I think that's it. I'm seriously asking. Take beef, eggs, butter, bacon. I think that's all. All right, so those are just like a number of things that I like to swap in when I feel like keeping it fresh. All right, so most of you can probably click out of the video now. What we're gonna do next is get into my research on my complete nutritional profile, why I'm eating the things that I'm eating, and we're gonna talk about a lot of different nutrients and minerals and all that kind of stuff. So if you're not into that, feel free to jump off, but if you are, stick around because I think it's pretty interesting. All right, if you're here for the long run, let's get into this. So this way I'm eating, this framework that I've started, it started working really well for me. So let's talk about why it's important to me and what I think is working. So when I started to add liver in, I realized it was because I was watching all this content and hearing, you should eat liver for XYZ nutrient or mineral. And this guy says, oh, you should add this, oh, you should add that. And I just started to follow the next logical question is, well, what all should I be eating? And how do I kind of optimize all these nutrients and stuff? I don't really understand this stuff at a deep level, at least I didn't, and there's still a ton of science that I am not gonna bother getting into because frankly, it's super boring. I listen to it on audiobooks and it goes in one ear and right out the other. So, but I just wanted to be mindful of why I'm choosing to eat all of these sometimes weird things that have worked their way into my diet, and make sure I'm eating them in the right amounts. One, because overeating and not being able to absorb nutrients, unless you absolutely love something, is kind of a waste of money. And two, if I'm doing this, I'm trying to get my health right for the long haul. I want my numbers to reflect that I am doing well, that the things I'm choosing are at least hitting some standard of, okay, this nutrient is accounted for and we don't have to think about it that much. All right, so here's the rundown. I'll go quick. For each vitamin and mineral, I'll say whether I'm hitting the target, going way over, or falling short of it, and where I'm getting it from. Okay, first up, vitamin A. It's very high. I'm getting a ton of it, and it's mostly coming from beef liver. Vitamin D, I'll say that I'm probably right on target. A lot of it comes from sun exposure. Now, I try on mornings when the sun is out to go outside with my coffee and my dog and just expose my face to the sun for like 5 to 10 minutes. I just literally just stand there. I live next to a school. I look like a super weirdo, but I'm just trying to get early in the day a lot of sunlight onto my skin. It's amazing for vitamin D, and there's some science that says it helps align your circadian rhythm so that you sleep better at night if you're exposing yourself to sunlight first thing in the morning. I also wear blue blocker glasses at night. That's a completely different thing, but yeah. So sunlight in the morning is a big part of my morning routine. That's where a lot of my vitamin D comes from, but I also get it from the liver, from eggs, and from the raw milk. Okay, vitamin E. This is low for me. From what I do get, I mostly get from eggs, the fat on my beef, and some cheese. But it's low. And, I have decided that I'm okay with this for right now. There is some evidence that suggests that less oxidative stress on the carnivore diet means that you need less vitamin E. And you get vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin K2 in check, and they also help reduce oxidative stress. So the need for vitamin E becomes much lower. So yes, mine is pretty low compared to what the RDA, the recommended daily allowance for vitamin E is, but for now, I'm okay with it. If I start noticing issues, I may reevaluate. All right, vitamin K2 is very high. I get it from eggs, liver, and cheese. Vitamin B12, I would say I get a high amount from liver, eggs, and shrimp. There's a lot in kidney too, which I'm going to be starting to work in. Folate is the next one. I would say I'm hitting an optimal range. That comes from the organs and the eggs. Choline, optimal level. Eggs, liver, and just from beef in general, and then from the cheese. All right, vitamin C. I was going to save this one to the end, but I think we'll get into it now. So vitamin C, compared to the recommended daily allowance by the United States government, is low. Of course. Yeah, I know. You know, if you're watching this, you know. Carnivores are not usually deficient in C, even though we take a very low amount. I am not worried about it. However, I am still considering taking an ascorbic acid supplement. I haven't started yet. I haven't even bought one yet. But ascorbic acid does raise vitamin C, and it helps with the excretion of uric acid, which, of course, as someone with gout, that's something that's important to me. So I'm considering it. It'll bring my C levels up. Am I worried about my C level being low, though? No. All right, next up, calcium. I'm in an optimal range, especially now that I'm doing the eggshell powder, but I also get it from all the dairy that I eat. Cheese, raw milk, kefir, all good sources of calcium, of course. Magnesium, slightly low. Just a little bit low. I've considered a magnesium supplement as well because it's supposed to help you sleep. I'm getting that mostly just from beef. Beef has a lot of magnesium in it, but also eggs. And I do take an element electrolyte, 2 of them every day. So I'm getting, all of my electrolytes are being supplemented with element, including potassium, which I would say I'm at an optimal level of. I get that from beef, raw dairy, and the element, of course. Sodium, I eat a lot of salt. All of us carnivores eat a lot of salt. I salt everything. Also getting it from cheese, which is pretty heavily salted, and of course the element supplement. Zinc is very high. I get that from the beef in general, from the liver, from the eggs, from the shrimp. Iron, also high.
I am Iron Man.
Liver, kidney, and just the muscle of beef has a lot of iron in it. Selenium is high as well from organs, eggs, and shrimp. Phosphorus is high. I get that from meat, liver, and eggs. Okay, but I have to get this off my chest. The English language is already bullshit. Phosphorus? 2 PHs pretending to be F in the same word? Get the fuck out of here. I'm officially starting a committee to rename this asshole. And last, iodine. Now, I know actually a lot of carnivores take an iodine supplement. I used to take an iodine supplement like 2 or 3 years ago, way before any of this. But according to the numbers that I am seeing, when I punch up like how much I'm actually eating, apparently I'm getting like an optimal range of iodine. And that comes from the shrimp, the eggs, and the salmon roe. So maybe some of the Lion Diet or BBBE people need to take iodine because they're not getting a lot of this stuff, especially seafood. But the salmon roe is packed with the stuff, and yeah, I feel like I'm at an optimal level. So again, if anything changes, I'll keep my eye on it. Good Lord, that is a lot of science and repetition. I am over it. Let's wrap this shit up. If you're starting the carnivore diet, do you need any of this? Hell no. Just start. Eat steak, eggs, bacon. Do whatever you want, just start. But for the more seasoned folks or science curious, I hope you found this helpful. For me, digging into all this helped me develop a more intimate relationship with food, and honestly, it's healthier than it's ever been. So let's hear it. What did I miss? What would you do differently? Why am I fat and my mother's a whore? Give me all your criticisms in the comments. Bring it on, you filthy animals. But if you got something out of this video, consider subscribing and liking this video. It helps get this info out to the people that need it. This way of eating, it's not about perfection. It's about learning what works best for you. I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.